Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Storytelling. I'm your host Madan, and with me today I have an amazing guest, Mr. Jainendra. Jainendra, namaste and welcome to this show.
Namaste, Madanji. Great
All
to be
right.
here. My pleasure.
It's my pleasure to host you here and hoping to learn a lot of new things from you. So before we get started, the first of all, Janendra, congratulations for winning the award of India Achievers Award from IAF India. So can you please tell us something? What is the motivation behind this award and what exactly this award, why you got it?
Yeah, I think, it's more of a recognition for some of the work I have been doing out of my, day-to-day activities with the society, working with, NASCOM, some other associations, and also a few startups who are trying to, help in the ecosystem in building capacity and capabilities with a younger crowd.
Mhm.
So, I believe, that was the reason that they looked at and they, recognized me for those efforts.
Great. So I see some of the synergy between you and me. Very categorically, I put a career transformation, post my surname, and
Yeah.
I help the people to transform their career into digital transformation. I'm very happy there are a lot of people who are
Yeah.
transforming the community. So this is great. I'm
Yes.
very happy to know. So
Yeah.
Janet, I see. I when I was navigating your profile, I saw you are pretty much active into NASCOM, and in fact, you are a mentor and coach of a lot of people. In fact, the startups. So, can you share with us what are the top technology trends that will shape up in 2022 or maybe way ahead?
Yeah. So, talking about digital transformation, I generally look at it more as a business transformation, and there is a lot we can discuss. But for today's, for now, that I come from, or rather, my current focus is more around engineering.
Yeah.
So people have been talking about business transformation, but let me think and share some of thoughts from engineering. Where the technology is moving more from engineering perspective. So as an engineering leader, DevSecOps is very, very important and critical element. And I see a lot of AI-enabled tool sets actually now getting included in the DevSecOps end-to-end pipeline, right from the QA automation, right? We talked about QA automation, but most of the QA automation is automating the scripts, right? Nothing very drastic or interesting has happened so far. But with now the advent of video-based, rather image recognition, right? So some of those tools that definitely will create a impact in the QA automation area. Then talking about the data quality. So data quality is again with a lot of AI itself work. Data quality has become a critical element for engineering team as we start working on the models, data analytics. So that is where also I see that newer tool sets would get included. And third area where we talk about operations, right? Which has been an area where there has been mostly manual effort, people actually running around to keep the system up and running. A lot of proactive scripting and AI-enabled tool sets will have a place there. From there, if I have to look at the other tech space, if in the engineering world, it would be the low-code movement. I'm not sure how aware you are, but definitely we see that there is an increased adoption of low-code technology set in the business apps world. As this matures, I do see that this thing will start penetrating in the B2C or consumer-facing world as well. And third, around cloud, we do see an increasing trend around serverless computing. And that area also, I believe, would see more pickup as, the security and that landscape starts including
Okay, this is great. So this is great to know your insights. Though this was my last question, but I'll try to accelerate because
Yeah,
considering, of course, I mean I'm more focused towards community and where you are connected. So considering you talked about, of course, cloud analytics, low code, no code, DevSecOps.
yeah,
So
yeah,
still, I see there are a lot of people who are struggling, and I mean to get into this space, and especially when I talk about the mid career crisis and
yeah.
transition. And when I spoke to many people, they say, "Hey, look, it looks exciting. A lot of work is happening, but how can I kickstart my journey? Because end of the day, I will be treated as a fresher." So, what's your suggestion for somebody to get started
Yeah.
into this space? If you can give some
No,
insight, that would be great.
yeah, absolutely. I can give my own example, right? When I started getting into the data analytics world, and it was around 8 or 9 years back, and there was a lot of confusion in that at that time. I started learning all mathematics, statistics, all the algorithm. But then, over the period, I realized that, people who are coming from, say, coding background, they don't have to go through that drill. And the approach, or rather the better approach, would be to actually go pick up one of the programming language. Python happens to be the natural choice for data analytics and machine learning, and then just keep, because they come with all the library. There's no difference between a .NET or a Java or a Python, because
Yeah.
all of those things are. It's just that Python is more adapt for data analytics and machine learning area, or even deep learning. So, my advice would be just pick one language. If you are from programming background, Python, or if you are not from a programming background, you are more from a statistics background. So there are certain tool sets like MATLAB and others. You just pick it on, and then, more look at it, skilling yourself, rather than, more looking at from a scientific side. Of course, if you want to do a PhD, definitely you go and look at those algorithm deep dive going into it. But if you're looking at a career shift, or making changes, or moving around cloud and data analytics, definitely just pick something, or rather build on your strength, right? And if programming is your strength, build on it. If mathematics and analytics is your strength, then pick a similar tool set and just keep building on it. It's not that hard. It's just that a little dedication and effort is needed. And it's simple. It's not that rocket science or
Oh yeah.
complicated.
So I mean, the last piece of advice, but just to summarize, I mean, गीता का भी सारांश है, कर्म करो फल की इच्छा ना करो. तो आपने भी, you also said the same thing, boss.
Yeah,
You start with the motivation of reskilling yourself, because that is the
yeah,
need of the hour. So I think, Janan, this is great. You have addressed the crowd of who are coming from a coding or maybe the engineering background. But there are a lot of crowds where I interact with, they are purely from the operation background. They know
yeah,
like supply chain, finance, or HR very well. But the moment you
yeah.
come and ask about coding and algo, they're lost. So what would be
Yeah.
your advice for those who are the data science lovers, but they don't have any kind of coding background?
So again, like, there are other tool sets, right? If you just look at data analytics, Tableau is one of them. Then you have Power Builders, and these are all, in another way, if you look at, these are low code to a no code platform.
True.
So any basic understanding of computer, and deep insight of data, and more of an inquisitive
Yeah.
mindset, where you ask the right questions, and if you want to get
Yeah.
deep and you want to do machine learning. But for basic analytics, plotting data, and visualization of data, you have a lot of tool sets available to actually get your hands dirty on.
Got it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Janendra. So taking this journey ahead, I mean, categorically, you suggested cloud and data analytics is accelerating the overall digital transformation pace.
Yeah,
So, I mean, and since the theme is tech storytelling, mostly we talk in terms of the storytelling. Would you like to share one business use case, unless it's not confidential in terms of your
No, no,
NDA,
definitely.
that
Yeah.
help our
No,
audience to understand how it's accelerating?
yeah. No, absolutely. So, let me first touch base on, business transformation and how digital transformation and data and cloud actually fits in. And this is the building block. So a organization who wants to get into a business transformation, the first challenge is actually transparency, and that is where data and cloud actually helps you. So you actually collate the data from different sources, and then create some business insights, because mainly business runs on KPIs. You define those KPIs, you start tracking that, and the best way of tracking those KPIs is through the real data, actually putting it all together, collating it together, and having it and making it available to everybody to look at. Right, as soon as you make it transparent, naturally your organizational efficiency will increase. So that's that I do see increased adoption of cloud and data analytics in fintech as well as in the retail space. But I will give you an example which everybody can actually connect with, is more from hospitality and travel industry. So when you book ticket or you book a room in a hotel, you get a different price on a different day, right? And you would be wondering, how actually it is happening. And the reason is very, very simple. If you look at both hospitality and travel industry, your inventory is pretty much fixed. Very rarely, or there will be a lot of investment needed to actually add capacity in the hotel and travel industry. So the best way to actually increase, rather not increase, increase your operation, or get the best value out of those inventory that you have, is to play with the occupancy and pricing. And that is where we have many systems who actually look at many different data sources, competitors data to event data to environment data to travel data, and based on that, there is a rate guidance, rate prediction, occupancy forecasting, and demand forecasting, which actually, there are two sets. Of course, RateGain I work for, they have an entire business around it. And it's a very interesting business and very important business or data set to have for both airlines as well as the hospitality industry. And many systems, so there are people, behind the scene who actually manages that. And for lower, smaller boutique shops, they even actually just trust, these tool sets to update the data directly into the system. So that's where, you get those fluctuation in rates, both in the airlines as well as in the hotel rooms booking.
No, I think it makes sense. This is absolutely, you nailed down the business use case. So taking this journey ahead, Jainendra, since you talk about
Yeah.
business transformation, I'll touch upon this topic from the two aspects. One is the
Yeah.
innovation, and another thing
Yeah.
is the customer experience. So the first question is, I know that you are pretty much excited about cloud and cloud and analytics. And I know that with the advent of cloud and especially the machine learning analytics on the cloud has accelerated the path of the innovation. And definitely it has
Yeah.
cut down a lot of lead time till the time of ideation, till the time of your idea get into the production or into the life. So would you like to
Yeah.
share some of the best practice or maybe your experience that how really it's driving the innovation at the very fast pace? So I mean, learn fast, fail fast, and DevSec is one of the area. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, innovation for the sake of innovation doesn't make any sense, right? So innovation has to be done, one, either for the customer, or
Yeah.
second, for generating some kind of a value for the internal organization. In both cases, you have a customer, which it could be an external customer or it could be internal customers. Now, talking about speed and agility, now think about it. Just procurement of certain IT assets takes so much of time, right? And those things are now readily available on the cloud. And best part, if I look at over the period in the last 3 to 4 years period, uh, there has been a lot of assets that has been created by these tech companies on the cloud in the form of platform as a service, as well as SaaS services. So many of those capabilities are already available. And even if I look at machine learning algorithm, gone are the days where you will be writing those algorithms. Many of those algorithms are already available and built by these players, and many of them are already pre-trained, also available there. You have to just fine-tune it for your use and in your business case, and then So that is where I see that cloud is playing a pivotal role, and actually it helps you in innovating fast. And you talked about fail fast and those things. So if we have customer in mind and we are working very closely with the customer, you now using cloud can actually build a prototype very, very quickly, get a feedback, and then actually incorporate that again, incorporate it back into this and get another feedback, right? So you can work with the customer, and while you are working with the customer, you can actually solve their problem really, really well in a iterative manner, rather than building the entire thing at once. So that's where I see cloud as and a lot of these capabilities that around machine learning and those things that have been built helps now the engineering and the R&D organization to actually iterate along with the customers, rather than building the entire product. Even in the MVP, we see that we are doing a lot of close collaboration with the customers.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Yeah, absolutely makes sense. So I would like to touch upon the second aspect. This is innovation. This is great. Technology, it's already there. It's just about accelerating the pace and innovating moving forward. My second question, and in digital transformation space, I'm following the trend that is happening since last 5 years. And all of a sudden in 2022, what I have seen, one of the trend is a customer outcome driven and customer experience has actually come on the top. Customer experience and the outcome driven digital transformation has come on the top as per the Gartner survey. So from your perspective, from your experience, why do you think the outcome driven model and especially the customer focus has become the number one priority for the CIOs and the organization?
Yeah, basically, again, this is the same thing, continuing on what we were discussing, that, innovation has to be customer centric, just not for the sake of innovation. And if that is the case, then definitely, working with the customer makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that we also have to understand, that you and me, the way we now use technology, and it is so immersive across all the different channels, whether we are on mobile, whether we are on web, and that is exactly what our customers are also expecting. And so while we are talking about technology and innovation, using these technology, one more fundamental things that we will have to understand is that we have to provide that kind of a customer experience. Yeah. Of course, there would be, again, in the banking and financial fintech world, we do see that, there are certain constraints and which we have to understand. And that actually also tells you that it is so important to understand customer in their own den, right? Because we may be thinking that this customer would be okay to have certain things on their mobile device, but then who knows, once you go into and then have a discussion, you will figure it out that there are certain policies and compliance that you have to go through. So it is so very important for an individual or an organization who are innovating. Of course, there is a good pace at which we can innovate, which actually is a good sign. But then we cannot, overlook customer understanding and how customers and how the customers are not only using it, but also the constraints in which customers are going to use it. So exactly, that is where I would say is that understanding customer is the topmost priority, because we cannot innovate, and R&D shouldn't be innovating it in-house without having having conversations with the customer. I believe that even all the engineers should actually at some point start having conversations with the customers,
Yeah,
because it gives you a total different perspective.
absolutely. This makes sense. Absolutely true. So taking this journey ahead, of course, I know cloud analytics is top of the list, but I mean, my experience, uh, there are some constraints that actually pause or slow down the overall digital transformation, and one of the area is, of course, the data privacy. Data privacy. There are a lot of concerns, and in fact, into my organization also, it slowed down the pace. So would you like to share some of your challenges or maybe some of the best practices that will help us to accelerate the pace?
Yeah, so absolutely, and this is one of the challenge. But at the same time, I will say that over the period we have seen those challenges to be mitigated by our cloud players. So if I look at not just data privacy but overall security landscape, now we have. All the tool sets made available by the cloud providers to actually create your own network, right? That was the first thing that was the blocker at, back 10, 6, 7 years back. But now you have all those tool sets. You can create your own network. You can actually create your subnets and all those things. Everything that you were doing, in an IT infrastructure, we can actually do it in the cloud, which gives a lot of confidence to us as well as confidence to the customers that it is pretty much secured, and you can actually show that and prove that to the customer. Then the second, you talked about the data. So there are large cloud providers who are actually letting you even manage your data in specific locations. If talking just about Europe, those things are also, so you can actually define the region where you can manage the data. That actually helps a lot, right? But at the same time, another aspect is that there are some large organizations who would still not be ready or prepared to move their data onto the cloud for so many other reasons, and those reasons may not be just technology reason. In that case, still they are managing their own cloud, or even if they are managing their own, say, data center, at least what we have seen, and from an engineering world, I can tell you, that the cloud native architecture, the architecture which scales, right, which has elasticity, that works in both cases. So from my side, if I have to provide advice, that go with the cloud native architecture and cloud agnostic architecture. Even if you have large customers, large organizations, still it will be much more useful. Of course, there are data privacy issues where we may not be able to handle in some of the large organizations, but from a engineering perspective, you're in both cloud as in on-premise environment. And the benefit we will get is that you can actually cater to both enterprise business as well as medium and small to low, a smaller business as well. Yeah, I know I have given a long answer.
Oh, I
The
think
question was more
I
around
agree
data,
with
but
you.
yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I totally believe in our partner ecosystem has already innovated a lot of things in the entire ecosystem. So the partner innovation is our innovation. But I strongly believe is we should have the right talent in place to drive this initiative. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so my last question, and maybe it's a little uncomfortable question. I mean, I talk about the challenges into digital transformation, and typically I put the people on the spot sometime. So my one of the challenge into organization into driving the digital transformation, I strongly believe it's a people and the talent.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, of course, I always talk about and strongly believe into reskilling and bringing the fresh talent from the world. So if I ask you, Jainendra, I mean, what is your, I mean, I'll say not what are, but what is your topmost challenge in terms of driving the or business transformation into large enterprise for your customer?
Yeah, so you picked up, right, really nice, nicely. So it is about talent. So a year back, I was also the site lead for the World Institute of India. We spent almost entire 1 year actually on the talent, hiring and recruiting topmost challenge. Because for us, it was a transformation from a legacy ATM world to more of a cloud first and mobile first, data analytics based, new age, cutting edge edge products and platform. So we spent absolutely around a year on hiring best of the best talent from the industry. We succeeded also. We added almost 20 odd senior leaders in the India organization. Then the second challenge definitely is that how do you train and your internal capabilities or that you have, and that is where we invested a lot. And thanks to some of the technology organization, including, I would really like to thank Microsoft to actually stepping up and helping us with the technology and those kind of a training. They actually stepped up and then also, we partner with a few other, again, like the good thing is that in India now, if you look at, there are organizations most to training talent, and some of to name would be, Upgrade and, likes of that. So we tapped into those ecosystem as well to help us in actually, upskilling or cross-skilling some of the talents in the specific areas where we were moving. So kind of a combination of, hiring fresh talent and then also, reskilling and upskilling some of our existing talent. And at the same time, we'll also talk about another program that we ran was more about, some software foundation technologies, and it was run globally at a corporate level. And idea was that we create center of excellences around, all these new technology sets, so that it can help cross-functional and cross-products team to actually adopt newer technology sets. So it actually helped. Now we are actually seeing that across the board, most of our product organizations are equipped and adapt on the newer technology sets, and they are driving it themselves. And still we have few of those center of excellences still running horizontally, helping and create, and looking at the new changes in that landscape and entire, rather, I would say focusing ahead of the curve, so that product team who are more focused on delivery can actually leverage the work that these center of excellences are doing. So, some, level of pre-work as well as creating certain, leverages for the teams to actually adopt and use.
Yeah, great. So I know that, it's a very nice conversation, enriching conversation, but time is ticking and we had to take a pause today. So thanks a lot for coming here, joining me, enriching our audiences. So this is great speaking. Pleasure speaking to you, Jainendra.
So Madan, thank you very much for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you as well.
So ladies and gentlemen, we were talking to Jainendra Kumar. So Jainendra, I hope you are available in case somebody is looking for any mentoring or coaching, or maybe, Jainendra has a lot of, work available into public space. You can follow him on the LinkedIn, and he's actively contributing towards the community. So maybe you can approach him on the LinkedIn for any kind of support or help. Hopefully that should be okay, Jainendra, right?
Absolutely, that will be my pleasure.
Okay, great. Nice speaking to you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and namaste.
Yeah, thank you. Namaste.